everyone. We're really excited to have Vico Fiorese today with the Digital Infrastructure Investor Platform. Vico, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
So Vico, I know we were connected through either LinkedIn or someone, but I've learned a lot from you. So maybe for the benefit of the audience, give us a little bit about the color of your role at Mavenir.
Okay. So I think that it's a public information that Mavenir is investing a lot on creating a platform that it's well known by being an open run platform. What that means is that we are going to use components from different vendors supported by the Mavenir software to offer an alternative to the traditional radio access network vendors. So the idea is that you will be able to buy LTE or 5G radio access network from Mavenir using components that are supplied by Mavenir or that you can supply on your own from different suppliers, okay, from different vendors. So that's pretty much like what Mavenir is doing. And my specific role inside of this context is that Mavenir has a very strong packet core portfolio that is an important piece of the mobile infrastructure. And what I'm doing is that I'm driving the Mavenir packet core together with the Mavenir Open Run solution towards the industry that I'm more familiar, where I have more credibility, that is the rural ISPs.
Got it. Also called the WISP, right? Wireless.
Also call it the WISPs. It's some of them are transitioning from wireless internet service providers to internet service providers, right? So there is this. We can call the WISP because this is how most of them starts, and this is the name of the association is WISP Association. But then there is something important to highlight is that very similar to what the AT&T announced, I think that today or yesterday, inside the existing footprint, if they can start to deploy fiber, they are going to do that. There is an advantage for that. And then they keep doing the wireless on the edge of the fiber where it goes outside of the footprint. So that's the reason that they are WISPs, but some of them are also fiber providers.
Got it. Okay. So clearly, we've a large theme in this platform has been in the wake of COVID, broadband has become almost the oxygen. You need it really to be able to do everything we've done in the last 18 months. And rural America has captured a lot of attention because they really, the digital divide is real. And so you mentioned the WISPs, and this is a group I don't think really gets enough attention here. And I'm just kind of wondering, can you talk about the average speeds the WISP providers are seeing right now?
So I think that the official data can actually come from the latest report that was issued by WISP Association. For those that are interested, if you look for the president of WISP, that his name is Claude Eichen, you will find information about what's like the official average speeds. But what I would like to highlight is that the speeds are all the way from the most complicated spectrum that we have that can offer only 10 megabits, all the way to millimeter wave or to fiber that can offer gigabit service, okay? And then in the middle of all that, you have a solution that is very interesting, that is on the range of the mid-band, the same famous mid-band that is being used by T-Mobile, Verizon, and AT&T. We are talking about a 2.5, 3.5. So on that area of the spectrum, we are seeing WISPs today complying with the FCC requirement of 100 by 20. So 100 mega down, 20 mega up. This was part of the CAFE 2 requirements, and those projects are being successfully executed. So I feel comfortable to say that it is possible on the mid-band spectrum with the bandwidth of spectrum that we have available. It is possible to offer 100 by 20 services.
Got it. Okay. Can you talk about like the competitive landscape in this region? I mean, is it just DSL, dial up, satellites? I assume like the large incumbents aren't in the area.
So you have also urban WISPs, okay? So it's not the only rural WISP. So when we talk about a landscape of competitors, we may need to separate. So you have like urban solutions, you have suburban solutions, and then you have rural and maybe ultra rural. So if we wanted to simplify that, when we go to ultra rural, this is where nothing else gets there, and that's where guys like Elon Musk are betting. So they are betting for the fact that maybe satellite can be the only option in certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then you have the traditional rural landscape. So you have farms, nearby farms. You have small residential area, but those are so far away from the last mile of fiber that if you and not only they are far away from the last mile of fiber, but also they may not have the proper density that is required to create a positive payback of building fiber. So for those areas, the landscape of competition is pretty much among those fixed wireless options. And I'm saying that because in most of those cases, you don't even have the copper. Okay, so when we are talking about a DSL, you need to assume that you at least may have a pair of copper going to that home, and sometimes you don't have that. So you don't have the wide line servicing. Okay, so that's what I'm saying, that in most of those cases, the competition is among different fiber wireless options. Now, if you go closer to the suburban, then it's where you started to see competition of DSL, potentially some competition of the cable footprint, and then on top of that, you may have certain FWA solutions on the range of a millimeter wave or larger bandwidth of mid-band that can actually propose a very interesting cost-benefit solution. The other solution is when you go to the super urban area. Then in that one, you have overlaps of DOCSIS cable with fiber. And what we see is that there are certain WISPs that they are finding way to play on those urban environments by offering point-to-point microwave links. So they can actually offer the same speeds that you get from the fiber, but then those are dedicated microwave links. That's like a high-level description of how would look like the competition environment on those different situations. Okay.
Got it. Okay, that's really helpful. And as we all know, there's been a lot of criticism about the 2020 RDOF auction, and curious as to many of which winners were WISPs. Curious as to your view as to these winners' ambitions. I mean, some seem to be very optimistic here. I'm not going to name names, but I'm curious as to your thoughts.
So my thoughts on that, first of all, remember that I mentioned certain WISPs, they are going to do fiber to the home.
Yes.
Okay. So we cannot put all the RDOF projects like in the same context. We need to be capable of analyzing case by case. What surprises me in some cases is how scattered are the locations that some of those guys, they bidded for gigabit per second. So when you bid a gigabit per second project, you need to have in mind that there is certain density required to create this cost-effective project. If that was not true, we would not need to have RDOF money going to those locations. So that was like one of the biggest surprises I had, was that I see in the map scattered locations that will need to be served with gigabit service. And that can be a challenge. I mean, based on my experience, I had a short period of time working specifically with fiber. So I do understand that side of the business as well. And I know that it's not easy to do fiber for those locations. Then you ask me, oh, can that be covered by microwave links? Potentially, but again, it is just the last mile. You still need to have uh, fiber circuits close enough to do that last mile over dedicated microwave links. Okay. I don't foresee in the short term any satellite solution that can offer that. So I would completely discard that for now as a potential solution for gigabit servicing. So I think that in those cases, they will need to find a solution between low density fiber deployments and some type of fiber on the mid mile, and then microwave on the last mile.
Got it. I guess the question though becomes, or my question with wireless has always been, you look at the consumption of the average home. I mean, I used to follow Comcast and they were talking about, 500 gigs per month, approaching a terabyte with some of the, as they call them, power users. Can wireless handle that kind of consumption even
Yeah,
at
so that's not difficult, I can tell you, because you are talking about average monthly consumption. So over a full month, it's not that difficult to transport all that volume that you are describing. Okay. The biggest challenge is actually during the busy hour to sustain a connection that can actually comply with the services like e-learning. What we are doing here, this type of video conference where I needed to have a high definition camera. In the future, I may need to use like a 4K camera, and I needed to upload this video in real time. There is probably the most critical use case that we have been exposed so far is actually the gaming. So if you see the report from Deloitte, they have all these different use cases, and you see that gaming potentially will need 50 mega down by 10 megabits up in a sustainable link, right? So I think that when I take that question, I prefer to answer that question from the perspective of like what is the required busy hour average throughput, not so much about what is the total volume of traffic that you should be transported over a period of a month. Okay.
Got it.
And in that context, I really like the work that Deloitte did. They did an analysis on use case by use case. Then they scaled their study by showing an average consumption per home for like a family of 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 people, and they show that based on the existing use cases, the profile of the data consumption is still very asymmetrical. So you still need a lot of more download speeds than upload speeds. And when we are talking about the upload speeds, if you don't have a specific use case like online gaming, you may be okay to use it on a family of 4. You may be okay to use it like 100 by 10 connections. Okay.
Interesting.
I was on 200 by 10 until a couple of weeks ago. I just did my upgrade to 400 by 20 from Spectrum.
Mhm.
I'm planning to do some specific drive tests on a mobile network using fixed wireless modem as soon as I have the opportunity to get my hands on a new CPE. And I can tell you that I don't see yet the demand for symmetrical speed. So I think it's a and the whole problem is that if we started to think from that point of view, we are going to waste a lot of the resources of the network, because if you need to comply with a high upload speed that you may not be necessarily need, you are going to waste a lot of download speeds that will never be used. Okay.
Right, right. Okay. I guess my last question, the infrastructure bill at the time of this filming is still being hammered out in DC, but it's clear that if something happens, broadband's going to be a large part of that. And how do you think Mavenir is well positioned to benefit and drive this usage and deployment to like homes like the one you're sitting in front of right now?
So I mean, yeah, that's one of the. I mean, I love to do as my hobby. I paint the red barn, so I like to do the red barns, as you can see there,
It's great.
and I hope that we are capable of connecting all those. I don't see a fiber going to a red barn. Okay, I
Mhm.
don't see that type of application, and in that context, Mavenir will be able to help in those situations where the edge of the fiber needs to be extended using wireless technology. And in that case, I think that there is good advantages for solutions like LTE and 5G, because we can come with the technologies like massive MIMO that it can actually increase a lot the spectral efficiency of the frequencies that are available. And when we combine all those characteristics, we can actually reduce a lot the cost per connected home. So I'm a huge supporter of fiber as much as it can goes, but I don't like the idea that we spend money putting believing that we can put fiber everywhere, because first we don't have labor force for that. We don't have enough fiber available in the market for that. Even if we had all the resources, the project itself takes a lot of time. And if there is something that we don't have, is timing to connect all those unconnected people that we have today. So we saw during the pandemic, families going on top of the mountains, connecting mobile phones in the pickup truck in order to do homework.
Yes.
That's unacceptable. So we need to find solutions that can help to connect these people right now. And I think that fixed wireless still will have an important play on that mix. So I'm one of the guys that support a hybrid solution. And if we want to support the hybrid solution, we need to be careful on the way that some of the fiber lobby is playing on the bill, trying to avoid any other type of solution.
That's great. Well, Vico, thank you so much. And I did connect through the WISPA group thanks to your introduction. It's something people should definitely look into, an interesting group of folks with some in person upcoming events. So thank you for that too. And thanks for joining us, and hope to see you all soon.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.